Well, the greatest influences on me were my parents. That's definitely true. They taught me the Bible. They taught me to pray. But when I was about 13, they had something of a crisis of faith. They'd been in leadership in a church, and actually things went wrong in that church. And they were very hurt. And they stopped going to church for quite a number of years. They went to church spasmodically, but not committedly. And in a way, my teenage rebellion was to go to church, because they weren't going to church. And I was greatly helped by a man who came to be the pastor of our church in Bridgend, in South Wales. He was a man called Mike Mellor, and he'd been an alcoholic. And the amazing thing about Mike was that, well, one of the many amazing things about Mike was that although he'd been an alcoholic, he could now take a drink socially without falling back into drunkenness. God really had miraculously healed him of his alcoholism. And he was a great help to me. He used to take me out preaching with him. I'm a singer, and he would go out to preach and I would go along and be the singer, the kind of warm-up act. And it was really helpful because it made me think through the Christian faith. I generally introduced the song with a few words from the Bible or a Christian thought. And so it got me functioning as a Christian. And then in the car on the way back, he would ask me about how my Christian faith was going. And he would answer questions that I had. So that was very helpful. Then when I went to Oxford University, I went to a church called St. Ebbe's. I'd never been to an Anglican church before, and I loved it. I was from a nonconformist background, and one of the pastors in the church was a man called Vaughan Roberts, who at that stage was becoming well known, and who is now a very well known preacher. And Vaughan was extremely kind to me, and he invited me to his house for breakfast every Thursday morning for a whole academic year. And he taught me how to approach the Bible. Everyone has a grid with which they view the Bible. It might be a non-Christian grid. It might be a sort of liberal theological grid, which is asking critical questions of the Bible. And Vaughan taught me that the Bible has its own grid through which to look at it. And it's about seeing who God is, that he's the sovereign God of history, that he's working out his purpose throughout history, and that you can see his purpose throughout the whole of the Bible. And Vaughan taught me this way of approaching the Bible, and also helped me to appropriate the Bible's teaching for myself in a more personal way. So Vaughan was a great help to me, and helped me move from having a childlike faith, a childhood faith, to having an adult faith.